Okay, hello everybody. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. My name is Franz, and okay, thanks. And I'm going to talk about something brand new here. It's called the railing tool. It's the brand new tool for ARCHICAD 21. Previously, you may have used a stair maker, and in stair maker you may have used the railing. Well, my news for you is that the stair maker is out. We won't be having stair maker anymore. This means that we won't be having rails in stair maker as well, but instead we are going to have the railing tool, which has many new exciting features and can be used for many new things. And I hope I can give you some of these fresh new features. I can present some features for you, but unfortunately not all. I cannot show you not all of them. Also, I want to stress out that what I'm showing you now, this ARCHICAD that I'm using, is more advanced than Beta 1. Some of these features won't be available in Beta 1, but probably in Beta 2. So that's what I'm using now is like in the middle, somewhere between 1 and 2. It's like 1.5 or so. Okay, so please be advised that some of these features won't work in Beta 1, but that's fine. Okay, so let's take a look at the railing tool. So just a few things. The railing tool is the first associative 3D tool. Previously we had the dimensions, for example, and labels, but those are associative to other elements, but the railing tool is associative to other elements as while being the first 3D tool that is associative. It is based on a polyline input. That means we have nodes and segments, and generally you can do all sorts of editing. You have all those editing options that you would have for a general polyline. And what is true for the curtain wall and for the stair is true for the railing as well. So there's an ARCHICAD scheme that controls a set of GDL components. Why is this important? Because GDL offers you a lot of flexibility and many custom-made components. We have two things now in GDLs. One is building materials. The other thing we have in GDLs now is profiles. So you can create a profile attribute and use it in the railing. So these things actually help you to create a very versatile set of geometries. Okay, so let's take a look at associativity first. I have a nice little slab here. It's you can see if I select it, it's a slab. And if I go and choose the railing tool, you see I can have, here's the icon of the railing tool, and I choose this basic railing favorite. And if I hover my mouse over the slab, you can see that the slab has changed color. So there's a highlight on the slab, meaning that it's associated. Up here in the info box, you can see that both nodes and segments are associative. So if I click here, if I hover the mouse on the other corner of the slab, I'm going to have a preview of how the railing will be arranged. If I press tab, I can switch between the routes through around the slab. So pressing tab on polygonal objects help you choose a path that you want to take your railing around. So by clicking on this node, I have created a railing. So if I select this, I can see that I have this railing on this slab. Now what's important here is that I have two nodes, one here and another one here. These are the ones that I've created by hand, by clicking. And this one here doesn't have a spot. It's automatically created by ARCHICAD. So let's see about flexibility. So if I start editing my slab, also if I want to curve it, let me curve this slab now. Doesn't allow me to curve it. So if I curve the slab, then you can see that the railing is following that shape because it's associative to the slab. Also, if I select my railing, you can see that these nodes here are automatically generated, so they don't actually have a black spot assigned to them. Now, of course, we have associative nodes. We have we also have static nodes. So if I grab this node and drag it away, it has the dot changed into a little square. And if I start moving my my slab here, that node stays in the same position. Also, if I add another node here in the middle, hold on. So if I add another node here in the middle, yeah, it doesn't really want me to do that. So if I add another node, then it will actually create something we call a static point. This is not my lucky day. It doesn't allow me to do that. So anyhow, if I create node in the middle of this segment, then it will create something we call relative node. So it will move relatively to compared to the others, just like the stair boundary changes. Also, I can change some settings here. Oh, I can actually show the relative node to you. So you see that this is a little smaller square, and if I change this point here, if I drag it, the relative node moves along with it just like the stair boundary. This is very good if you want to insert another node in the middle of the slab, but there is no node on the slab to attach it to, so it just stays there relatively to the others. So let me just undo that. Also, if you want, you can change the associativity of the segment. So by clicking, it doesn't really want me to. Anyhow, I should be able to click here and bring up the segment type, so it can be a static segment, and then it changes to static. So I can change it from the path palette. Also, I can flip the segment, so it will actually go around the slab on the other direction. Now, this is just a very simple idea, but basically this is how associativity works, is that you have a polyline that is attached to the slab, or actually the host element. We called it the host element anytime, and you have a few set of tools to change that associativity or just add new points. Okay, so we talked about associativity to slabs, but of course we have other elements that the railing is associative to. Of course, we have stairs. That's very important, so that we can attach railings to stairs. We can attach railings to walls, which can be a very useful case when you have a railing that runs along the stair. Then it goes up to I don't know, to another wall, and so on the stair it has all the components in it, but on the wall, for example, it's just a top rail, and it runs along the wall. So from the stair it goes on up to a wall and runs along with it. This is important to say because railings are not associated to one element only, but they can be associated to multiple elements at the same time. As you have seen, it is associative to slabs, but it's also associative to roofs. Right now, roofs can be used as a workaround for ramps, for example. And of course, it is associative to meshes. In case you want to create a fence around your land, for example, that can be done also by using the railing tool. So let me just quickly take a look at these. So you've already seen how it works on the slab. Here it is on the slab, so it's very easy to click. If I select this mesh here, I have these ridges that I've created. So these are actually user created ridges, and I can actually use the magic wand. I hope this works well. So I can add a railing to the ridge by just clicking with the magic wand. Of course, if you have a favorite that is saved as a fence, for example, it's much more easier to use. Of course, I can attach it to the wall. So I have a railing that is attached to the wall. Of course, I have to have a railing that is only one top rail, for example. I can attach a railing to the slab. And of course, if you see that it's always highlighted, so whenever I attach a railing to a host element, it always gets highlighted, meaning just like if you use the dimension, meaning that it's associative to it. Now, if I change the steepness of this roof, you can see that the railing follows that, and of course, it follows all sorts of curvature changes. You may have seen this before, but I'm going to show you. This is how rails work on stairs. So if I move the mouse on one end of the stair, and if I move the mouse on the other end of the stair, it's very easy to create one. And of course, I can continue on the slab. So if I click here, click there, and then I click here. Now, this ARCHICAD offers me one direction, but I have to choose the other one because it will block the stair. And so I press Tab, and then finally I can click. And with a few clicks, I have created a very complex geometry. So you see that this is very easy to do, and it was done only by a few clicks. I hope this will work. Yeah. Okay. So you can see that. And it has all sorts of components that I will talk about in a few minutes. Okay, so you see these are the 5 elements that railings can be associated to: slabs, meshes, walls, roofs, and slabs and stairs, or stairs just in general. Okay, so let's talk about the pattern itself. So I may have talked about this before. Each railing contains a pattern. And the pattern contains a set of components. Also, it's very important to tell you that the railing, each segment can have its own pattern. So this means that the railings can contain multiple segments, each with their own settings. These components are the following. So on the top, we have a top rail, and the top rail always sits on the top of the segment. So the height of the top rail equals the height of the segment, and the top rail profile also is aligned to the top, which is very important for building regulations and codes. In some countries, even the height of the railing is regulated on the flight or on the landing of a stair. So on the same host element, the heights of segments can be different within one railing. So that's why we have all these settings for segments separate for each segment in the railing. We have handrails. Handrails can be 2 times 2. So we have an upper and lower handrail, one handrail 1 and handrail 2, and each can have their own twins. Basically, these are just mirrors of the same with the same settings. So this means that you can only specify 2 handrails at a time, and then you can mirror them along the reference line on the railing. Rails are just general elements. They are actually just general GDR components. Basically, they are an extrusion of a profile, and each can have their unique settings. So, for example, if you have a fence, the footing can be one rail, and the top parts can be other rails, and each can have their settings, unique settings. So these are the horizontal parts, or the parts that are parallel to the reference line. Now the vertical parts are the inner posts. Inner posts set the length of the pattern, and I will show you that to you in a few minutes. Balusters, they are actually just regular smaller bars, and they don't have structural function. And also panels are just between inner posts and rails. Balusters and panels are secondary components, more or less, and so they are regulated by rails and inner posts. So their position is defined by those. Okay, so these are just a few examples that I'm going to show you. Hope this will work. So this is my general railing here. This is just a very simple idea. It has a top rail at the top and a handrail. Has inner posts, has balusters, 2 types of balusters. So one is round, the other one is square, rotated by 45 degrees. and we have a rail at the bottom. So this is a very general railing. Here is another one. This one has two inner posts, so they are actually twins next to each other. We have two handrails below each other, and we have fixings for each handrail. You can see the fixing here. This is the part that actually is holding the component. Now fixings can be specified for each element. So there's one type of fixing for each element. Of course, many types exist, but you can use only one at a time. And fixing is basically the component, I mean the subcomponent, and more or less the part of the GDL that actually holds the component. And you can have one at a time. So in this case, I have the fixing is of the handrail is attached to the panel, and the panel fixing is attached to these inner posts and posts. This one is not a wall. This one is a rail, a giant rail. So I have a very tall and big rail here, and you can see that the top rail also has fixings attached to the rail. This one is the same example, pretty much the same example. This is a profiled, built-in profiled GDL. You can see that it's a unique profile, and there are these fixings that are attached to this rail. Again, this is not a wall, but of course you can create a wall and then attach railing that looks like this to it. So it can be many things. If you want to have an opening, for example, in a wall that has a railing attached to it, of course you can do that, but this one doesn't have that. You cannot put an opening into a railing. In this case, we don't have inner posts or posts. We have just panels, and I will show you how the pattern for this one looks like. So we have a handrail, and we have a top rail, and we just have panels. So basically in this case, panels are actually holding the structure. And here is very general looking railing. We have rails and panels in between, and we have a top rail at the top. Now this is where it gets more exciting. This one is a GDL, and actually I've saved it. This, you can see that this is a morph, and this one is the GDL. So I save the morph as a GDL component, and then I added it as a post. And this is what everybody likes. This is my favorite example here. This is a beautiful railing here with a line on the top. So I have created this railing that has a line on top, and it actually you can see that it's a railing with a post on top of it, I mean at the end. Okay, so let's go back to this very simple railing, and let's take a look at the pattern editor. If I open up the settings, you can see that I have many things here. Let me just drag this away. Okay. This tree, this layout is new compared to Beta 1. We have simplified the tree a bit because it was a bit complicated. People got lost in the tree. They thought that top rail connections, for example, that you can read or what you can see now in Beta 1 has something to do with the top rail itself, but it doesn't. So we have that mixed up, and so this one is a bit more cleaner and straightforward. Let's take a look at the post. So here I can choose a set of posts. Some of them are actually the ones that I've saved from GDLs. Other are built-in. The built-in post actually is the most simple one. If you don't have a library loaded to your project, there should be a railing still present. So the built-in post is actually the one that you can always choose from this list. But in this case, I've chosen the railing post. And in the railing post, I can have a rectangle or square or round shape. I can have a hollow profile, stainless steel, and so on. So this one here is the GDL itself. You can set up fixing. This one doesn't have fixing now, but if you want to attach it to a slab, for example, this is the fixing. And so it can also have a 2D component, and I will talk about that soon. It also has properties here, so classification and properties are added to each component. So let's take a look at the segment itself. Here is a top rail, and you can see my segment is 100 centimeters tall, So my top rail sits at 100 centimeters. This is just a relation. So as I said before, it's always at the top. My handrail is at 90 centimeters. It is on one side, but I can double it with this option here, so I can make it 2. Also, you can see that to the real preview, I can choose among many options here. And this one is just the built-in. If I choose the profile rail, I can have these. I can choose between these. Among these profiles that I have in the GDL. Okay, but right now it's just a built-in GDL that I'm using. I have a rail here, and as you can see while I was browsing in the tree, the components are selected in the pattern editor. Also, if I select a component here, it jumps to the position in the tree. So if I choose the inner post, basically all the settings are the same. So up here you have the pattern editor, we have the main settings, and here these are the GDL settings. But you can see that while I'm selecting among these options and among these components, the tree is selected at the same time. So if I choose between balusters, I have 2 balusters here, 1 and 2. They always get highlighted, and this is what you can see. Okay, so that's about that, and let's take a look at another example that I've showed you. So here, for example, I have 2 inner posts, so you can have single or double, but basically I have 2. You see that this area is grayed out, so this means that it's already part of the pattern, and this is a pattern itself, and these are actually repetitions of the same pattern. Let's take a look at another example. This one is the giant rail. So I have a rail here, and let's take a look at my favorite ones. Here I have just a set of balusters, and if I look at the post, here is the post that I saved from the GDL. I will talk about that soon. Also, if I go here and you look at my beautiful lions, I have here a set of balusters. Well, it takes a little while to load that GDL. Hold on, people. Okay, here's the GDL. But anyhow, if I look at the balusters, I have these balusters here. Let me change the post to another one, because this makes things a bit slower. Okay, so I just choose this one, and this one is just without the lions. So anyhow, if I go back here, and you can see that I have this the pattern here. Now let me emphasize that the pattern is not a preview. The pattern is more like just a schematic view, or just a set of bars that represent proportionally the width and the height of the components. So it's just a selection tool actually. And now you can see that I have, here is my revolve post, and within those settings, you see I have a set of GDL parameters here. So the middle profile is something that I've drawn. So this is the baluster white. I call it baluster white. So it's the white baluster. If I go to options, element attributes, and profile manager, you can see that this is my baluster profile, and also what you can see here that it's railing. So here we added a few more options. So previously you had wall, beam, column, and now we added railing, so that you can actually designate a profile to a certain to railings as well. Here is the profile that I've drawn. This is a half profile, of course, because it gets rotated. So let me go back to settings, and I have chosen this profile, which is called baluster white, and you can see that actually it should be filtered out, so I shouldn't see this one, but we are working on this. So I should only see the railing profiles, and I can choose here another revolving option. It should be quadrangle. So if I choose quadrangle, oh, sorry, this is a glitch. I had this glitch this morning as well, this is just only part of this build, and I'm sorry about that. If I choose here, I have to go back here in editing mode, and then I have to choose the quadrangle option. So you can see that if it changed to quadrangle, still it's my profile that I've just drawn. So it's very nice, and it has many possibilities. Let me add this. Let me stretch this and add a bottom at the top to it. So I should make this more or less like 20. Maybe the height of this should be 10%. Height of this part should be 10%. Let me see. It's really exciting because I'm also trying this now. So you can see that I've added the top and the bottom to it, so it gives you more detail. But this is just a built-in GDL. If you're not happy with these options, you can also create your own, just that I created this beautiful lion here on top. So that to show you that I have these morph. I can save a component from morph. And the way I just did that is I selected this. This is a morph. I went here to File, Library is an object, Save Selection As, and I saved it as a post. If I go here and save it as a post, there are these GDLs that I've already saved. And this is not available in Beta 1. Again, this is available in Beta 2, I hope. But I wanted to show you guys because it's very important so that I can demonstrate this to you. Also, I did the same thing here. I saved this as a GDL and I inserted this as a post. So if I go here and look at posts, I have here this beautiful wood post that I've made. So as you can see, these are just a few very conservative ideas. Actually, these are just made. The first ones I made just from a few very simple profiles with built-in GDLs, and these ones I made myself. I just sculpted them, but of course you guys can make any types you want. So this is really just scratching the surface. Okay, let me talk about railing connections. So connections are a set of options that you can choose from. Basically, you have three connection types. You can have the gooseneck, something we call the direct connection, and a simple extension, which is hold on, let me just switch this off, and which is just a simple extension, so there's no physical connection. In case of connections, we don't have a separate GDL, but the surface of that component, I mean that part, can be overwritten. Okay, so let's see an example for that, and I choose another favorite so you can see that favorites are actually working. So actually I'm going to use the magic one now. And yep, there it is. Just took me a few seconds. Actually, it took me no effort at all. Just hope yeah. And so if I select this and go to editing mode, I can choose this connection type, and here I have a set of parameters that I can choose from. Also, I can open up its settings, and here I see the top rail connection options. So this one is the direct. This one is the no connection at all. So you just have two ends next to each other. This is a gooseneck, and this is something we call direct connection. So it just connects two lines, two separate lines directly. So this can be used for example, if you have a staircase in an egress route, so it's like a fire staircase. So we have a horizontal fillet. We have the length of the gooseneck. Hold on. Let me get back to that. Your question. And also we have the top fillet. So if I can change this to something bigger. As you can see, this little diagram shows where I'm clicking. So this is something very useful here. Also, I have horizontal and extensions. So let me just click OK here. And also, I can change the settings for horizontal and tangential parameters. Before I want to change one connection type, I have to make them unique, because right now I will have to deal with this one and this one. So you can see that both of them are highlighted, and the reason for that is because these are dynamic nodes. You may remember that I mentioned that there are dynamic nodes and there are associated nodes. So these are dynamic nodes. So within one flight here, they don't have separate parameters. So let me click and create independent segments and nodes. It's really changed a bit. And now if I click on this one, only this one is highlighted. So let me go back and for example, if I change this direction type, you see that it goes actually down here. So it goes up until the node itself. But if I add a little extension to it, so if you slide your hand down, it may stop before the node or the post, and there will be a small horizontal part that you can add to it. So these are just a few set of parameters, and feel free to try them out if you have the chance. Okay. Similar to connections, we have a few railing end options. So we have the top rails, handrails, and rails. For top rails, we have a simple extension, so this is just an ending. We can extend to the wall or to the floor with the curve, or we can have a double curved extension. For handrails, we have an extra. We can connect double handrails with each other. So I mentioned before that there are twins. So if there are two of the same kind next to each other, we can connect them to each other. And for rails, we just have a simple extension only, and to each one of these ends, so each of these ends, a component can be added, which means that you can even have further many types of flexibility, so you can sculpt your own ending if you'd like to. And we just give you a few set of ideas that you can use. So let me create this again. Okay, and if I go here to editing mode, I will talk about editing mode soon. So if I click on this one, you can see that I've chosen top rail end, and if I select this one, you can see that I've chosen the handrail end. So there are two ends here, and they have their own set of parameters. So I can decide whether I want to go down to the floor or turn to one wall or the other. Of course, the railing doesn't know where it is left or right. It depends on how you have drawn them. And of course, we have these same settings. So if you have a tangential connection, we can extend this a bit further back. So by 20 I have, and of course there's a glitch here. It should be following that height. This is not okay. So there are a few glitches here, and I can go more into depth regarding these glitches and regarding how this works. But unfortunately, some of them still don't work properly, so I don't really want to dive into this right now. And let's talk about the editing mode. So I've showed a few examples of editing mode before, but basically similar to curtain walls and stairs, here we are using the editing mode concept, and you have already seen that we also have a tree on the left side of settings. So we utilized the idea that was created for the curtain walls, and of course we improve on it a lot. We're going to have editing mode in sections and elevations, and in 3D as well, and also in 2D, on floor plan. And also it's important to mention that the editing queue is going to be not just one giant. There won't be one giant queue when you exit editing mode, but the editing queue will be added outside and inside of editing mode. So if you undo something outside of editing mode, you enter editing mode, and you will see the last modification, so it won't be like before with curtain walls. The entire editing mode queue was one giant undo. So each element can be moved or stretched by their hotspots. So that means that you have some sort of editing capability. For example, you can move the top rail, and that changes slanting and skewing. And you can edit segments and nodes, and I will show that also. And just as I said, so editing mode now not only works in 3D, but also in section and floor plan as well. So let's go back to my favorite examples here. And so you can see that I can enter editing mode just when I select the railing. So if I click on edit, I'm entering editing mode, and I can see those components that build up the railing. Of course, I can switch off the environment if I want to, and I can switch off components if I want to, but right now I just like to show you how it works. So if I select one component here, for example this inner post, you can see that all of the instances, I mean all of its copies are selected at the same time. This is because one inner post, these inner posts are part of the same pattern. So actually if I change something here, if I lower the height, you see that all of them change at the same time. That's because it's one pattern, it's one giant pattern. And if I go to go and look at the inner posts, you can see their height also changed. So they are actually lowered a bit. Also, I can do the same thing for balusters. So if I select one baluster, you can see that all of them are actually highlighted. All the balusters that are part of the same pattern are highlighted, and so on. So this gives you an overview of what you're doing, because this means that these copies act at the same time. So just like before, I can select the ending, and I can edit it separately. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to develop hotspots for these, but we might do it in the future. I can change the top rail. Let me just select the top rail, and you see that the hotspot is at the top, so this means that the top rail is always aligned to the top of the handrail, to the railing. And by editing the top rail, I can also change the skewing of the railing. So you can see that this is a very easy and effective mode of changing the skewing of the railing. Okay, so I can exit. Also, if I edit this one, you see that all the panels are highlighted at the same time, and also I can change their heights and so forth. So for each we have a set of options that are actually pretty general in terms of general ARCHICAD usage. Okay, so now I'm going to exit, and let me just talk about the segment a bit, because we have touched on the pattern, but we haven't talked about the segment settings before. So if I look at the segment settings, what I can see here is I have slanting and skewing, which can also be set to perpendicular. If you have a, for example, previously we had the slope, the roof that was used as a ramp, but of course it can be used as a roof if you create gutters, for example. So, or on a stair, it can be either relative to vertical or relative to perpendicular. So if you have if you want to have your railing perpendicular to whatever sloping it has, with this option you can do that. You can offset it by the reference along the reference line. This works similarly to walls, and in the future we will add another option here that's missing from this one yet. That's flipping on the reference line. That will work similarly that you would do for walls. So you can flip a wall in its reference line. So basically that means to mirror it, because this one, these options don't mirror the railing itself. They just offset the railing relative to the reference line. Now the segment pattern distribution is a very important thing to look at. It basically it has three options. Pattern length is pretty straightforward. So right now my inner post position is at 100. So my pattern length is 100 centimeters long. Is 100 centimeters. If I choose divisions and say, okay, I want I don't know, 3 divisions. you can see that I've got 3 divisions exactly. So regardless of my exact pattern length, I will have 3 divisions. If I extend this a bit, I still have 3 divisions. So whatever is happening to this length of the segment, I always have 3 divisions. Now the best division by length is a very nice feature. Basically, regardless of the pattern length, you can also stretch it a bit. Now, what this option does is that it will create an even number of patterns, yes, within the segment. And this maximum length defines what should be the maximum of these little patterns within the segment. Let's say 120 centimeters. You can see that it created 7 patterns within the segment. If I add 150, then it stretched them a little bit. But you can see that they always even out, so they create a very nice pattern. This is important if you have, I don't know, a segment is more than 6 meters, and your pattern can be roughly about 1 meter. So that, but you still find it important that the pattern should be evened out. You should choose this option, so you will get a nice evened out length, whatever your length, your segment length is. So that's a very useful feature if you're editing the segment length. Okay, can we set the distance between balusters? Okay, let me get back to that. Just a minute. Let's take a look at that. It's a very good question. We have the same thing for balusters. Actually, I didn't mention that, but for balusters, we have the same thing. So this one is 10 centimeters away, and this one is also 10 centimeters away. I'm also thinking about adding another option here. So it should not only be 10 centimeters from the other one, but 10 centimeters in general. This should be 20 centimeters here from the origin. So you could have 2 options: whether to set it from the other one or whether to set it from the origin itself. But basically, these are 10 centimeters apart. So it means my length is, baluster pattern length is 20. And so divisions, I can have 5 divisions. So you can see actually it doesn't change here because it's already being 5. But if I change it to 3, you can see the pattern editor changed. So now I have 3 divisions. And the best division is always, it works the same way. So the baluster pattern length, the baluster pattern is actually the pattern within the pattern. So you have the same options more or less for balusters than you have for the entire segment. And this is very important. For example, if you have another building regulation that the distance between 2 balusters shouldn't be more than 10 centimeters because for safety reasons. But your pattern itself can change because of this setting here, so that it's best division. This means that even though your length changed, just like here, my length changed more or less. I don't know, more than to a meter or less than to a meter, whatever. My balusters, the division between the balusters stays the same, or they actually, so that the regulations are still being met. So kids won't be able to poke their heads through the balusters. So this is very important. So you have a pattern within the pattern, and by using this, you have very good options to fulfill building regulations and codes. Okay, so let's talk about the floor plan representation and about the MBO. So we have the layouts. The floor plan representation layouts are pretty much similar to, very similar to stairs. That is because we have to fulfill the same requirements for railings than what we have for stairs. That's because you want to see this railing the same way that you see the stair if you put it on a floor plan. And each railing component can have its they have their own 2D settings, and these can be filtered by the model view options. So of course you don't have to see all the little tiny details if you are in a smaller scale or larger scale actually. So let's take a look at some of these examples. I have this nice railing here, and let me just choose. So you see I can choose the options here. I can choose among components in 2D now. So let me go and look at this revolved baluster. and I want to have another symbol for it. It should be 2 circles, 2 black circles actually. So each of these are controlled by the component itself, and so yes, there are my circles. If I look at another example that is more sophisticated than this, my general railing that I just edited, you can see that one baluster has a bigger plus sign, the other baluster has a smaller plus sign, but of course I can change that. So I can change the layout of the balusters easily. So if I go back to editing mode and go to the baluster itself, I can make this one a bit different. So this is good if you are moving to a larger scale, so that you want to see the repetition on floor plan, and you want to see that in a greater detail. You can do it right here. So this means that in stairs we have a very, I think it's the layout. Yeah, you can have no 2D. I think you can have no 2D. Oops, this is the rail. Anyhow, you can also filter them in MBO, so you don't need to see them if you don't want to. Let me exit and go to the MBO options. And here is stair railing, and of course if I don't want to see them, I don't need to see them. Here you can switch them off. So this is very good if you want to create your own MBO settings and you don't want to see all of this little things. I understand if you're not in that scale, you don't need to see everything. Let me go back to 3D just for a moment and look at this railing and choose a few other options here in MBO. You may remember that stairs can have a full and schematic view. For railings, we have a simplified view, which is just a general layout of the components. So this is good if you want to have just a simple stair, a simple railing, sorry. And also you can go to schematic view, and in schematic view you just have a plane. So for example, if you haven't decided yet the layout of your railing, but you want to edit, you want to show it that it's there, you can use this option, and you can also set the color and everything here in simplified model options. Also for performance reasons, if you have many little pieces added to your railing, you can also choose the simplified option, and you don't see all the little details, just the general bounding boxes. But let me go back to full now, and so I can see the railing itself as it is. Okay. Okay, this was the MBO. Yes, we have talked about this. Stair connections. Stair connections are a few set of are a few set of parameters. Stairs are always special to railings because stairs are very complex, and so railings should also follow that complexity. So this means that so in some cases you want to have the horizontal components follow the winding stair curvature. You want to have balusters in the post attached to the tread top, and you want to set the baluster pattern length to the going width. So if you have a pattern that has many balusters in it, you want to have the same evened out distribution. So let's take a look at these examples. I have two nice stairs here. One of them has a winding, the other one has a landing in it. And if I go and let me choose, I don't know, just my general railing, and I click here. You can see that it doesn't really follow the curvature yet. So let me just go here. And this will be changed a bit because it should be automatically following the curvature without me checking this proximate widening curvature option here. And it doesn't really work because I have to offset it. So basically this is how it works. So it follows the curvature basically it follows the same curvature what the structure has. And so it should be on top of the stair. Think about that, it should follow the stair all the time, not just when it's on top of it, but all the time. Let me choose this option here. Oopsie. Yeah, actually I found this to be a glitch this morning. Shouldn't do that. I have to switch this off. So, and let me switch this back onto the stair. So it's now sitting on the stair, this railing. So let me go and remove this rail. You can see that I just selected it. So again, if I select something and I press delete, it will be gone, but it also I can just remove it here. So I just press delete, and I can add with this one. So if I want to put it back, I can add it with this option. So let me just delete it, and here I go and say for the balusters that the length of the pattern, baluster pattern length, should be exactly the same as the going width. Of course, these options still should be alive, because on the landing, for example, or if I continue my railing onto a slab or to another object, these options should still be alive. But this is just an extra option for stairs, so that the length, the pattern length should be exactly the same as the going width. And oops, and so you can see that. So you can see that the length of the balusters are exactly the same as the depth of the stairs. So this is very useful if you want to create your own pattern and then put it onto the stairs. So these patterns can be made out of balusters.
And you showed a previous option that you could offset.
Yes, of course, I can offset it. Sorry. Oops. I haven't seen. I have to bring it back, so I can offset it. Well, this can be a tedious process. But basically, you can offset it. So if I set it gently to one side, it actually sits on top of the balusters, and this is on his inner post. So I should get I should get rid of the inner post. Sorry. I don't know why I didn't get rid of them, but I should get rid of them. Yep, like that. Wow. That goes for the entire railing, so I should be getting rid of that. And actually, this is a good option for me to show you how the various handling is working, because in this case, I just removed it from one segment, and I want to apply it to the entire railing. I should press this button here that should be the custom settings should be reset. So actually what I see now should be applied to the entire railing, and hopefully these inner posts disappear, and yes, they disappeared. So my railings are actually, my balusters are evened out to the length of the stair treads. Okay, so just in a few words, what we have now is we have railings also work with CEO, so this gives you further many options. So you can actually subtract railings from slab, for example. There are some in some cases, actually no, you subtract the slab from the railing. So in many cases the railing runs up to the slab all the way through if it's on a stair next to almost like a wall. You have seen the magic wand. So we have magic wand and I recommend using the magic wand on meshes and stairs, because if you put it on a polygonal object, it will go around it. But of course, that doesn't matter. You can use the favorites for each components. There are favorites, so not just for the entire railing, but for smaller components as well. You can create your own component favorites. Tab selection is very useful if you want to choose a direction between the two directions on polygonal host elements. I have quickly showed you the various handling. Well, if you cannot really decide whether on which direction it should be. So it depends on the clicking, but you can flip the handrail, only the handrail itself, by using this option here. Let me go back. So by using this option here, you can choose where the handrail should be. So it should be on left, right, or in the middle. I mean, on both sides, sorry. But depending on the direction you started to draw it, railing doesn't know which side is left or which side is right, or which side it should be inside or which side should be outside. So that's why we added these options. Just like if you draw a wall, for example, by its reference line, you don't know, I mean, it depends on where you start and where you finish the reference line. The railing, I mean, the wall is offset left or right. Converting pattern to segment length, that's a very useful feature, and I tried to show it this morning, but it didn't really work out. But let me try show it to you. So for example, if you have this railing here and you want to change only this inner post, so one inner post at a time, you cannot do that because right now your pattern is only this long. So if I change this one, I will change all of them. So if I convert the pattern length, nothing really happened. Well, it should be pretty much the same, but something happened. I don't know. It's a bit of a bug here. But basically, if I go to editing mode, you can see that I can only choose. I mean, and I can now choose them individually. Let me look at the settings. I hope this works. Yes. So the length of the segment has been converted to the pattern. So now the entire pattern is equals the segment. So now with this option, actually, you can choose and edit inner posts separately or any type of component separately. Or if you have panels with it, so we want to change one panel to a different color or anything, you can do it right here. We have seen independent segments. So basically what it does, it converts these automatic points that ARCHICAD added to the railing, and the ARCHICAD, and you can convert them into manual points, which means that this is a technical issue. Manual points now will have their own settings, and these automatic points, they don't have their own settings. And unified railings is just an example of what we can do. So basically, what I said is that you can use the polyline editing options for railings, because railings are actually polylines. Okay, so I've seen that we had a few questions. Let me take a look at the questions if I can stretch this. Okay. Oh, so no 2D for boosters. Can you show a side-mounted railing? Hope it works. It's so this one is, so for example here my handrail looks the wrong direction. So the first thing I'm going to do now is change the direction of the handrail, and you can see that it'll flip to the other side. So I'm going to flip this to the other side. So I'm going to flip it outside of the slab, and I'm going to change the height minus, I don't know, 10 centimeters. So it goes now 10 centimeters below the slab. And here are a few set of fixings, and I hope they will work. And let's see. Oops, something's not right yet. Yeah, you have to fine-tune them. But basically, this is how it works. So basically, you have to fine-tune these fixings, and then you can actually, let's see, this length. This is too long. This should be only 5 centimeters. No, it's even too long. It should be about 2. Even too long. Should be about 1. Yeah. I should offset this a little further. And now I'm going to have to even lower the settings, but you can see that I can add a fixing to the inner post, and also I can have to do the same thing for the post. But I can save this as a favorite and apply it to all. So I can actually do the side mounting here. So I have this special kind of fixing to the side, and that's about that. So you can actually move it around. If you're not happy with the fixings that we provide, You can also save your own custom GDL and insert it to the post, just like I showed you with the Alliance. So that can be done as well. With Magic Wand, how do you define the size? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. Mostly it works well, but if you're that happy about the direction of the handrail, you just have to flip it the way I showed you before, because I'm not.
I think it depends on where you click.
Actually, yeah, Matthew's right. It depends on where you click. Beginning.
If you click on the beginning of the stair, then it goes up, and that gives you the direction of the rail.
So let's take a look at that. So, for example, if I click here, yeah, it's inside now. I don't know. Probably.
If you click on the other side.
No, it's outside now.
No, okay. But if you click on the other side of the stair now.
Yeah, because
same setting.
Thing is that I flipped it. So, but if I click here, it should be the other. Hold on. No.
But what I mean is, if you click on the other side of the stair.
Yeah. Okay.
Then it should, it depends on where you click.
Yeah, but basically, we address this issue by just a click. So you have to flip the direction of the. Yeah, it is always on the right side. So you can flip the direction of the handrail easily just by by using that option. Actually, it was requested by many people, and so we added that option. If you do a visual schedule of the railings, can we show the elevation view or just a simple pattern? I'm not sure about that. You know the answer to that?
Yeah, in previous version, we added previews for elements.
Yes, we
added. If railing.
Let me.
Oh yes, yeah. That's the answer is yes.
Okay, the answer is yes to that. So Carl, yeah, the answer is yes.
Right.
Okay. Any more questions about railings? And again, please remember that this is more than Beta 1. This is a bit closer to Beta 2 now. What I use now, there's so many options are not available. For example, saving your own GDL is not available yet, but it will be, I hope, in Beta 2. And this is just barely scratching the surface. I think there are many, not barely, but scratching the surface. I mean, there are many ways you can play with railings. So I hope you can try it out.
Like trees and blank posts.
Oh yeah, James just mentioned that. Yeah, you can create trees with this, and the road and the mesh and so forth. Are you thinking of adding something else, patterns to be added to panels so that you can? Well.
So the panel is a mesh or a wire. Or
yeah. Well, not that would be a bit. That would be a lot of work, and we didn't have time for that. Right now, the workaround is that you can just save your own panel, and so you create your own panel on a floor plan or in 3D and save it as a GDL.
And does it stretch?
It doesn't stretch. I think it doesn't fit. It's a fixed size. Yes.
And that's the same with profile. So if you use a profile for any component, can you stretch it in the?
Well, let me take a look. You can stretch. We can stretch the boosters if you have this revolved booster. Oopsie. So you can if you have this revolved, you can stretch them. So these you can stretch. Let me look at the profile. No, they are not stretchable. So they are just fixed size. But basically, you have to define your own. So if you draw another one, then you can define your own. Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening. And now James will talk about some more features for ARCHICAD 21. And so I give it to James now.
In just a few minutes that we have remaining, I just wanted to cover just a few of the other features. One of the first one is the collision detection. Unfortunately, due to a bug that we've just discovered, it's not available to test in Beta 1. So that will appear in Beta 2. So from the design menu, I choose collision detection, and this is based on the current view. So currently I'm from the floor plan, and it will be based on all visible elements from all floor plan stories. If I have a selection, so if I select hundreds of elements, then this collision detection dialog will filter to just within the selection. or if it's from the 3D window, then what's visible in that 3D window. Here I can set up two sets of criteria, and then it will do a comparison between those two and see what collides between those two groups. I can access from the Add menu, I can access find and select criteria sets, so you can store your own criteria sets and then access them here. If I select any of these, it will replace whatever I had selected here in this criteria set, so it will replace it. Some items will be grayed out. This is because those are not available to do collisions. For example, if the criteria set has 2D annotation or lines and things like that, then you can't, that is not accessible because those certain criteria are not available for the collision detection. So if this is just the default, so I do a check. I then have a small report that just gives me an outline of how many elements were selected and how many collisions were found and how many new markup entries were added. These can be different because if you run it again, then it can still find the same collisions, but it doesn't need to create new markup entries. The feature of the markup tool is the same as how it used to work for MAP. But now this feature for the collision detection is now available for all users, not just if you owned the MAP add-on. So you can see the collisions that were found. The second feature is regarding the 2D line dash handling. So here I have two polylines using the two different methods. For all construction elements, we now use the new method, which is this one, to always show lines within corners. You can see the old method, the legacy method, basically runs the dashed line over the entire segment, the entire from start to end, but the new one is based on each segment. So therefore this is distributed over that segment versus the entire length of the first one. So when you're migrating files into 21, you may notice some graphical changes because of this change. So this is worth testing your existing files to see if there's been any problems regarding the 2D representation of elements. If I open up the settings dialog with this polyline, it has this new option. So I can choose the by segment or the continuous option, which is then the legacy method that we had. The next thing is the new multiply feature. So if I open up multiply, we've redesigned the dialog and we've also added a few new features. For instance, this new increment and spread is a new function that allows both the spacing and the overall spread of it to be both defined graphically. Previously, you had to do one or the other, but now you can do both graphically. We also have new options that now you can pick a path. This will automatic, so using the Magic Wand technology, it will detect a continuous path. This is not just of one element, but if you have lots of walls or different slabs or things like that, it will find the path. So it's the same as Magic Wand. And also we can now control how the rotation over that line can be handled. So let's choose, for instance, none. Click OK. I already had the element selected, and as I hover over a segment or a line, it automatically highlights, and then you click to select that. You then now need to select basically the reference point of how this object will rotate around. So let's choose the center of this object. So this is a newer build, so this behaves a little bit differently from Beta 1. I can move that and offset that element, but I will just choose its where it was, and then now I can choose the distance, and then I can keep dragging to define basically the number of copies. You can see in the tracker it also allows me to edit some of these details on the fly. So for for example, the spacing can be modified, and also the number of copies. So this is the no rotation option. Undo, and then choose the rotate to path, and do this again. Then you can see as soon as it moves to the next segment, then it rotates. And the third option, randomize, this is good for, say, landscaping elements. So every copy rotates around that initially clicked point. So if that click point is far away from the object, then it may have undesirable sort of results. I just want to show this on, so these two columns. I choose the same thing. Let's choose distribute and -1, and choose the rotate to path. Okay. So as I move over these walls, then it automatically detects the boundary or this slab. Previously, it would always detect surfaces as well, but this was causing unnecessary detection. So now if you press space, it will then start detecting the boundaries based on the surface. So similar to Magic Wand, when you press spacebar, then it will detect. So automatically it's by edge, but if spacebar, then it will detect the surface. So let's choose the outer edge, and include this as the start, and then I can rotate these around, and I can even close it based on the initial point. And here I can change the number of copies on the fly, or increase that, and then enter. The next thing that we added was, so as you saw, that there's now Magic Wand feedback. So during spacebar, you now get a live feedback of what's going to happen. So you saw that with the railing before. In 3D, I just want to show the new 3D styles. This is using a white model effect, where basically everything gets overridden with a single color. But this is different to, say, the white from, for example, graphic overrides. So graphic overrides will basically take one surface and replace it with another surface. What the white model effect does is keep transparency, so windows will still be semi-transparent and glass will be semi-transparent, but just modifies everything to a chosen color, so not a surface. So here we have an actual RGB value that can be overridden, as well as the contours. During navigation, you'll notice that the outlines don't turn off during navigation, so they're now permanently. So if they're on, then they will stay. They will still appear during navigation. Also, shadows stay during navigation only when the project is quite low polygon. So we need to do more development with the shadow casting. But for small models, then the shadows can actually stay. But if the frame rate will drop, then we automatically turn them off to not have a staggered sort of navigation. You'll notice also that there's two groups. So there's this group at the top. This uses all the vectorial engine, which has some benefit and then some. So it's slower to generate, but it has more options regarding shadows and also contours. So you can choose the thickness of contours. For something like, then the next set are based on OpenGL. This shows contours, but it doesn't have the same ability to override each of the different types of contours, and also a bit more limited in shadows. So it's similar functionality to previously that also wasn't available there. We did add a new option under these settings, which is this headlight. Basically, if you had a flat wall, if you looked at it on an angle, it would have this gradient over it because there would be like a headlamp attached to the camera. So this now can be turned off. So basically, a flat surface will appear more flat and more uniform. Doesn't have this radiating appearance. Just another thing to note. We now have this this new element transfer settings. This is available via pickup and inject. So previously, when you inject, it was a hard-coded set of parameters that were transferred, and some things weren't transferred. We then had favorites, had this parameter settings where you could choose what was transferred and what wasn't. This was also stored in your user preference and could only be set once at a time. So you wanted something different, you would have to edit at that point. Now we've completely sort of redone this, added a lot more settings that you can choose to include or exclude. Pickup and inject now uses these same technology. You can create sets, so any combination of these items, and this is now stored in the project, so it's also teamwork enabled. So obviously if somebody creates one in the teamwork, then it's available for everyone. This icon here, this represents basically the default for favorites. So during double click of a favorite, when you just instantly apply it, then it will use this default. You can still access the other ones via, say, context menu, but if you just want to do a simple double click, then that is the default that it will use. So for example, just some of the new additions that we've added, things like door and window size, so the AB values. You can even turn off basically all other settings and only transfer, say, the classification and not the window itself. Other things like for objects, the rotation can be turned off, so you don't transfer the rotation of an object. For example, like a chair, if you want to pick up from one chair to another, it doesn't rotate to the same position like before. And a number of other classifications now included, and so more consistent and more varied in the number of settings that you can choose. Does this apply when copying objects? No. So if you just drag a copy, then it's an exact copy. So when you pick up, it picks up all the settings, but only when you inject, that is the point when you can choose what settings you want to inject with. So here during inject, I can choose which set that I want to inject with at this point. And select this column, then I can right click here and then also choose which set that I want to choose. So when I'm applying this favorite, I can choose what information to transfer based on these name sets. Kind of running, another thing I was going to show was the textiles panel has now been made much more consistent throughout ARCHICAD. So this has been cleaned up, but also the settings have been are now more consistent over, so interactive scheduler and dimensions, for example. We also can access text favorites. So if you create multiple text favorites, those are now available directly from any of the textiles panels. So even in interactive scheduler, you can apply text styles or dimensions and things like that to get more consistency over your text appearance. If there's any questions, let us know. Model space, paper space, that hasn't changed.